Hello, everyone. I still brought you in the wrong order. Hello, everyone, and welcome to a really good talk. Nope, that was not a mispronunciation. Connor named this show, and that's we decided to stick with it. This is our third episode, and we wanted to have a guest on for this one. For anybody who's just tuning in, definitely go check out our first two episodes because they're classics, and they're also a little raw because we were trying to figure out what this was and where it was going. But they're great episodes, so make sure you go check into both of those. But we wanted to have a guest on this one, and he is all the way from Australia right now. It is 10 to 7 when we're shooting this on the East Coast. It is 10 to midnight in the UK where Connor Clarkson is, and it is 8:20 where you are in Australia. And let me just start by saying, what is Australia doing when that they have half time zones? When did this? What kind of thinking is this?
Not sure. Have no idea what's going on there, but yeah, it's difficult.
Yeah. All right. So Cory, what is your disability?
Yeah. So I'm a C5, C6 incomplete quadriplegic. I broke my neck surfing at the age of 20. Yeah.
Wow. Okay. And that is also, I look so shocked just then because that was actually the first time that I had heard that from him. We did not do a lot of chatting. Different time zones made it hard to even get this episode scheduled.
Yeah.
Especially for Connor being right in the middle. So,
the power of Red Bull.
Yes. So you broke your neck. You broke your neck surfing. Tell us about that, if you wouldn't mind.
Yeah, so I'll just share a little bit of background. So growing up, I was super athletic. From 5 years old, I had my first motorbike. I raced motocross from the age of 10, I think, till the age of 16. Yeah, racing motocross. I was a boxer, skateboarding. We owned horses. So with my mum, every weekend, we'd be riding our horses, fishing, you name it. I did a lot of extreme sports, but my passion was surfing, and I started surfing at the age of 10. And the first time I went surfing, it was freezing cold. I stood up on a surfboard, fell straight off, but I was hooked. From that moment forward, I was hooked. And I would what you'd say, obsessed, addicted to surfing. By the time I was 15, I'd went in a few competitions. And then at the age of 16, I wanted to move from where I lived to a better surfing place on the Gold Coast in Australia. So at 16 years old by myself, I moved there and was living the dream. Like I was living my dream life, like just surfing every day, working in construction to earn money. And I was earning really, really good money. So I was just traveling a lot, surfing every day. Yeah, super fun. And then do you want me to go into my accident itself?
If you don't mind, go ahead. Yeah.
Yeah. So working in construction, I had this really good boss, and it was a Sunday night, and he gave me a call, and he said, "Cory, I know tomorrow's a public holiday, but do you mind coming in? I'm really behind on this job. Can you come in? I'll pay you really good cash money." So I was like, I wanted to go surfing. It was a public holiday. I was like, nah, I wanted to go surfing, but I said, no worries, mate. I'll come to the job site. So the next morning, I drove 100 kilometers to the job site. And it was the extension of a hospital. So I was working on a hospital, and I was working away, and I was talking to this guy, and I remember having this real conversation, and we're talking about, like, he had motorbikes, had horses too, and we're just talking about all the stuff we did as young blokes, like, you know, running amok, extreme stuff, some silly stuff we did. And he said to me, Cory, have you ever broken a bone in your body? Like, you know, you raced motocross, did all this stuff. Have you ever hurt yourself, broken a bone? And I said, I've hurt myself many a times, went into hospital, but never actually broken a bone. And I remember I bent down, touched wood, and I said, have you ever heard the saying touch wood? And that means like, you hope it happens. Yeah, it's a very common thing in the UK and Australia. Like we say, touch wood, like it never happens. Like we hope it never happens. So anyway, I finished.
Wood.
Hey?
That's what we say. We say knock wood.
Yeah. Well, there's a song by the Mighty Mighty Bosstones, remember? It said knock on wood. Oh, you might not remember from 1998. But anyway, there's a song about it. And so anyway, I drove home, went straight to the beach. The waves were only about 1 meter high. And everyone thinks because I had this huge accident, they always think the waves are huge. But it wasn't that the waves were big. It's that it was very shallow. The water was very shallow where I surfed. So anyway, I was surfing, and I caught this wave, and I just slipped. I was on top of the wave doing this maneuver, and I just slipped off the top of the wave head first. And I was in like the diving position. So you can see my arm. Just think of my hand as my head. And I just hit the water and just hit the sand and instantly hit my neck.
Oh
and
my goodness.
I was laying there and I didn't have any like tingling. I didn't have any pain. It was really weird, but I kind of knew something was wrong because I was floating there face down in the water. I couldn't move. And I was like, something's not right. Like I just couldn't work it out. It was really weird. So I'm laying there face down. And as you can imagine, like I ran out of air. By then I was out of air. So just as I was about to run out of air, a wave rolled me over and I got my mouth out of the water and I got a little bit of air. I went, and then I was back down again underwater. And then I was just floating there face down like this. Anyway, I was laying there. I was like, I'm going to die. Like there's nothing I can do. I'm going to die. But I didn't know I was paralyzed. I didn't know anything like that. So anyway, it just got to the point where my lungs were burning and I was like, I can't hold anymore. Let go. And I was like, that's it. And then just as I kind of let go and blacked out, a lone Japanese tourist grabbed me by the shoulders and pulled me out of the water. And that was crazy because the beach that I surfed at was my favorite surfing beach. It was, no one ever walked along there. It wasn't a place you walked. It was a place you just surfed. So anyway, he pulled me out of the water. He couldn't understand a word I was saying. I was swearing at him. I was like, can I swear? Is that cool? Like,
oh yeah, of course.
Oh, sweet. I was like,
We don't give a fuck.
Yeah. I was like, get me the fuck out of the water. Get me the fuck out of the water. Like, I'm fucking dying. Like, anyway, I'm screaming at him. And my friend, she was a nurse. She saw what happened and she came over. She's a surfer too. And two people just floated me on my back, supporting my neck, suspected spinal injury, and just used the water and kind of floated me up onto the beach. Yeah. And then I was just on the beach and that's when the ambulance came and everything like that. So
wow, that's an amazing story. To be also to be that close to death, to think that it's that it's just that it's coming and there's nothing you can do, man. That's got to be crazy.
Yeah,
I would imagine you other than the disability, which of course changed your life, but did that experience change you?
Oh, absolutely. It's like I lived my life to the max, but it's also planted that seed that shit can go down so quick. Shit can change so quick. And yeah, like the trauma of it is like I'm always a bit scared, if that kind of makes sense. I live my life to the extreme. Like I travel the world to do a lot of stuff, but I'm also got a bit of PTSD from that. A bit of in the back of my mind, it's like something can happen. So
yeah. Well, let's open it up a little bit here, Connor. Speaking for me now, this is the interesting thing about this episode, everybody, is that Cory was not born with this disability at birth. As the story he just gave us, this is something that happened to him. Connor and I have been dealing with our disabilities since birth. Wow. At no point in time could we walk, could we surf, or could we do any of that stuff. So we're going to, as soon as we open up the show a little more here, we're definitely going to get some different perspectives, I think, on a couple of things. But for me, I know what you're talking about because I've fallen out of my chair. I've rolled my chair. I've fallen out of my chair. Once you do it once, the thought's always in the back of your mind that it's gonna, that you're going to do it again. Yeah. For me, though, I guess, I do slow down a little bit more now, since I've, rolled my chair and fallen out of my chair. I try and be more careful. Yeah. Of course, I'm also getting a little older and I want to make sure I don't break a hip or do something that's going to keep me immobile. Connor, what about you, buddy? Because you kind of do some walking and you have your power chair also. So,
I mean, if I had £1 for every time I fell out of that chair, I'd be a fucking millionaire. I shit you not. It is almost a daily occurrence at this point.
Really?
Like, I mean, I know you said off camera that you went to Sherwood Forest, but in the UK, the amount of potholes that we have in this shit house of a country, one pothole and I'd probably be on the floor.
Wow.
Now, do you fall when you walk sometimes too?
I mean, it depends how much you've had to drink, but sober, not as much.
So you've actually fallen more out of your chair than you have when you're walking.
Yeah.
Wow, that's interesting. I would not have expected that stat from you.
I mean, I'm not exactly the safest driver, so.
Well, I get that, but still, you just with your disability, I thought for sure you tripping and falling on even a small ledge or something, that would have happened more. I guess though that's why you probably spend more time in your chair than you do walking.
Yeah.
Anyway. So that makes sense. All right. So what are you? So after your injury,
Yep.
you go to the hospital. You find out what happened. So you told us the whole full thing, but what does that actually mean then?
Yeah. So just to recap a little bit of the story. So when they first took me to a hospital after my accident, they then put me in a helicopter and they were going to fly me to another specialist center. And they told all my family to kiss me goodbye because I wouldn't make the flight. But this is where the story kind of twists and is a bit creepy. Remember how I said I'd been working on the extension of a hospital that day?
Yeah.
Earlier that day, it was actually the extension of the Princess Alexander Spinal Unit. And they put me in the helicopter, and that afternoon, they were flying me back there to be a patient.
Wow.
That's crazy, eh? Like, that is
I thought we already had the crazy twist to your story. That's why I just.
Oh, no, dude, I got crazy stuff. I got crazy stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Yeah. So after that, I spent 3 months in spinal traction because even though I broke some bones, the spinal surgeon was away on holiday. So they didn't operate. So I had to lay on my back for about 3 months. And so they drilled holes in my head and connected all this stuff, and they had a big weight. So the weight stretches your neck and allows the bones to heal over 3 months. So I just laid on my back for 3 months. In that 3 months, I nearly died from a blood clot. I developed a huge blood clot in my leg, and I nearly died from that.
Yeah.
At the 10, I was in intensive care for the first 3 weeks. Nearly died a few times there. Nearly died from a blood clot. Then at the 10-week mark of laying on my back in spinal traction, the doctor came in. He said, Cory, because I was kind of a bit conscious then, I was really good. He said, Cory, you do realize you've had an accident? I'm like, yep. He goes, you're paralyzed? I was like, I can't move my arms, can't move my legs, can't feel my body. He said, look, it's been 10 weeks. There's a high chance that you're going to be like this for the rest of your life. And naturally, I was really upset, going from walking to being like that. And anyway, so I was crying. He left the room and my dad came in the room. And I said to my dad, I said, look, the doctor just told me the bad news. I understand I might be like this for the rest of my life. Can you just turn the TV on, leave the room, and just give me time to really process those thoughts? So my dad put the telly on, and it was the news. And as my dad walked out, there was a news flash, a news bulletin. And it was that 2 young surfers from the Gold Coast where I lived had just been killed in a car accident. They turned out to be my friends.
Oh, my goodness.
So within 5 minutes of learning that I was fully paralyzed, I was probably never going to walk again, told by the doctor, I also learned that my 2 friends had just been killed in a car accident. So I had to lay there flat on my back and just stew in that emotion, stew in the fear, the anger, and just I couldn't punch anything. I couldn't really scream. I couldn't do nothing.
Yeah.
I just lay there and cry.
Yeah, that had to be wow. When you told me when we were talking and you said you had a story, I definitely was not expecting this quite this many twists and turns, man. Yeah,
I'm seriously just warming up, man. Like it's hectic. My story's hectic. Yeah.
Yeah, that's crazy. And that's where Connor, we didn't have to come to the realization that we were going to be in wheelchairs. We came to it over our childhood.
Yeah.
I mean, when you're born like that and you see that you're like that from the beginning, that's just how you are, right? You just figure it out on your own, or at least if you have good parents. Connor, I don't know how your parents were, if they just were like, get out there, go do it. Doesn't matter if your disability is go. So, but that's what I've noticed though, is that people who have been able to walk and then have that, have an injury like that, it can be harder to accept that the depression can be even worse than anything Connor and I have likely experienced. Right. So How did you get through? How did you make it through that? What did you?
Yeah. So for the first year, I was pretty good. I was pretty excited that I was alive. And then a year later, I just crashed, man. I was down the beach and I ended up in a mental health ward. I just lost my shit. I had huge panic attack, anxiety, depression. The next 3 years, 4 years just looked like didn't want to leave my house, crying every day, lots of health problems. Like I said, anxiety, depression. Honestly, I just wanted to kill myself. I planned it. Can I mention this stuff on here? Is that
Yeah,
cool?
of course.
Yeah. So, I planned the day that I was going to do it, how I was going to do it, and I wrote a letter because at the time I had my girlfriend and we got married as well. And yeah, I had enough anyway. So it just got to the point where I was just thinking about suicide every day, and I jumped in the shower that morning and I sat in the shower for about 3 hours straight with the water just running over my head. And I was like, today's the day, Cory. Like, today's the day. You got to do it. You got to do it. You got to do it. And then just something came over me and I just changed my mind. I was like, instead of thinking, yeah, today's the day I'm going to kill myself, I just changed. And I was just like, today's the day you're going to make the decision to do the best you can with what you have. And no matter how hard it's going to be, because it's going to be freaking hard, you're going to just keep going. Like, does that make sense?
Absolutely.
So I jumped out of the shower, got dressed, and I say jump, but we know it's not that simple.
We're familiar. We're familiar with the common and the vernacular. It's fine.
We're familiar with that, don't we?
Yeah,
we
fine.
make it sound so simple, but it's not, right? So
absolutely. Isn't that, if I can, I want to let you get to the rest of your story, but that's a good talk? That's a good point you brought up, though, that we say things like, "Oh, well, I jumped." I say it too. Yeah. Oh, I got to run down to the streets. You know, I got to jump in the shower, right? Yeah. So, but it's not just, oh, I got to jump in the shower. No, that's the process. At least for me to get in the shower can take several minutes to get in the shower. Yeah. It's not just, oh, I'm jumping in the shower. So yeah,
I mean, shit. How many times have we been on the phone and you're like, shit, can I call you back? I just got to run to the store. I'm like, bro, just listen to what you've just said.
Yeah. So, but go ahead. Anyway, continue, please.
Yeah. Nah, it's it's funny. So, I got out of the shower, got dressed, and I just jumped on the phone and I rang every single psychologist, every single counselor, and I was seeing about 5 different psychologists, counselors every single week because I got to the point. Obviously, over those few years, I finally realized that my body wasn't gonna get better. As in, like, I can move my arms and stuff like that as a quadriplegic. I can drive a car and stuff like that. But I knew I was never going to, I kind of worked out by then that I was never going to walk again. So I knew the only way to get better was to change my mindset, change how I thought about things. That was the only hope I had. So that's why I was seeing, 5 different psychologists, counselors every single week, reading books on personal development, mindset. I'd realized that my mindset was the only way I was going to get through it. So I just worked on that. We moved back to South Australia. Like I said, we got married, we got divorced. So I had to overcome like the divorce. That was a huge hit for my ego. Just a lot of things. Like, it was pretty crazy. Then I developed an addiction. So I got addicted to drugs and alcohol. So I was addicted to drugs and alcohol, and every morning by 10 a.m., I was literally passed out on the kitchen table. Just passed out, just wiped out. I was drink driving in my car. I got banned from driving my car because, it was out of control. So I got worse. Like, even though I was seeing psychologists and everything, it kind of got a lot worse before it started getting better, if that kind of makes sense. And don't get me wrong, in between there, I was having lots of fun. I was like partying and had a girlfriend, and I was still living my life, but I was just kind of off the rails at the same time. So,
So can I ask you about your beliefs?
Yeah.
Do you believe in God or do you have a belief system or something like that?
So when I first had my accident, not at all. I didn't believe in anything really. But then from about 2015, 16, I started believing in God. Yeah. And then from there, like, that's what, has helped me. But I'm not the type of person, I don't push it on people. If I only bring it up if like you ask. So yeah.
I noticed. I noticed that about your story. I noticed that you hadn't brought it up. That's why I wanted to ask about you. So how much of a role do you think now that we brought it out the closet? And may I say, don't ever be afraid of your faith, bro. Don't ever be afraid of that. And so how much did that have to do with your change in mindset, do you think?
Huge. Like, it definitely, like, because I was doing all right, but I think it just helped me so much more. It definitely. So I think the biggest thing that helped me, this is going to be interesting. I always thought that when I die, when I go to heaven, I always like, I'm going to go surfing. So it's like over the years, I've been always like up and down. Like, it hasn't been smooth sailing. I've always been like up and down. And like as everyone knows, like apart from having a disability, life itself is difficult. Like 100%, right? Like relationships, romantic relationships, with your friends, the relationship with yourself. Like how many times I haven't even liked myself? Like, come on, let's be honest, right? So, and then you got bills, and then you got financial stuff, and then having a disability, like, it can be more challenging, to earn more money or whatever. Like, we have different things. So life itself, then a disability. So with all the ups and downs, it's definitely helped smooth that out. And then my whole thing of like, I didn't want to kill myself because I was like, I want to get to heaven so I can go surfing again. That's my whole goal. It's like, I want to surf again.
I love that.
Yeah. And that was my thing. That's what's kind of kept me on the straight and narrow and kind of helped me smooth out those rough patches is like, I just want to one day get to heaven and, hopefully there's waves. Like,
that's awesome. And if there are, I can assure you that I will be happy to join you on the waters once that happens. Absolutely. So, of course, Cory's talking about when we all pass, we get our glorified bodies. So, all these disabilities and defects and everything that we get will be gone. We will not have them. So, absolutely. I plan on going surfing. I'm going to go biking. If there's motorcycles, I'm going motocross racing or whatever else. You know what I mean? All that stuff. Absolutely. Right.
Yeah.
So, all right. Connor, do you have any questions or anything you want to bring up quick before we move into open this up a little more?
This is backtracking right to the start of the episode.
Yeah.
No, that's okay.
You mentioned boxing.
Yeah.
JD, come on, you knew I was going to pick up on that.
Yeah, go ahead. Take it.
So, shit. Hold on. We've unplugged the phone. Fuck. Bear with. We'll edit this out. Don't worry. We'll edit it out. It's fine.
Oh, no, we're not.
Brother, either way, I don't care. Post it raw, edit it. That's fine.
That was rule number one, remember, with these episodes. As soon as I started filming on that episode 1, and we had a whole conversation before we even got to the opening.
Yeah.
So, no, these go unfiltered. Unless Cory asks me specifically to take something out from him, these stay in.
Let's keep it raw. Like, I love it. Let's keep going.
That's what I'm saying. So, go ahead.
Okay, so how long did you do the boxing for?
I started when I was 10, and I finished when I was about 15. Yeah. Trained about 3 times a week. Yeah.
Nice.
With the same trainer that trained my dad. So when my dad was growing up as a young fella, like that guy trained my dad and then trained me. And I had a couple of like inter-club fights. All headgear because I was only a kid. And then a couple of like amateur ones, but nothing too serious. Like, do you know what I mean? So,
do you still remember your record?
I wouldn't even really call it a record. Like, I think it was like I probably won half and lost half the other. Like, it wasn't anything too flash. Like, and there was probably only like like with the inter-club flights, which you don't even like really. It's nothing too serious.
Yeah, because when you're a kid as well, you're still gonna have the head guard. You're gonna have literally. Yeah, well, you're gonna be wrapped up like you've got a bubble wrap, like you're an expensive piece of china.
Yeah. So it was like probably in total 4 or 5 fights. Like, nothing major. Like,
still not too bad.
Connor, why don't you tell him why you're interested in the boxing or why that jumped out at you?
I was going to get to that. Hold your horses. Turn the speed down on your wheelchair for a second. I was going to get to that. So we've had a little bit of the wrestling character come out now. So yeah, I've just spoiled that. Yeah, I've done the professional wrestling. I've done a bit of boxing, a little bit of jiu-jitsu.
Nice.
I've pretty much done a bit of fucking everything.
Nice. Muay Thai?
See, I want to get into Muay Thai, but at the same time, I want to go back into cage fighting.
I want to see you. I want to see you do some Muay Thai, Connor.
Listen, I want to see you do some kickboxing. Calm yourself.
Hey! I don't stand on my legs. It's easier for me to do kickboxing than it's going to be for you to do Muay Thai.
My wife's good at Muay Thai. She did it for a few years. Didn't fight, but her technique's really cool, like full traditional Muay Thai. Like, yeah.
I mean, here's the thing: you don't need to fight. You can just do the training. Because then, at least, if you get into any shit, you've still got that self-defense.
100%.
Obviously, the air quotes for self-defense, but yeah, you can still handle it pretty well.
I only do backyard wrestling.
So I'm curious, Connor, if you don't mind me asking, like, so when you say you can stand, like you can stand with like free, like you don't use a frame or a stick, like you can like kick a bag. Punch a bag,
I mean, it's touch and go.
Yeah.
That's kind of why I moved from the boxing to the wrestling, because I was like, hold on, if I go into wrestling, then if I'm literally just on the ground, I've got better balance, better stability. I'm not worrying about my hips, and I can just throw a fuck ton more power into it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Like, I take someone down, ground and pound, armbar, job done.
Yeah.
It is pretty much like that.
Yeah.
Connor, when I first had him on an episode, I didn't even realize that he was disabled. He showed me some clips of being a wrestler. Yeah. Because the way he wrestles, I thought it was just his, like, it was his own unique style. I thought he found a way to put his own style, because when Connor stands, he doesn't stand like straight up. It almost looks like he's kind of crouched a little bit.
Yeah.
And I thought it was just his whole wrestling style. So I went through the whole first episode and never asked him about his disability because I didn't even know.
Wow.
Yeah, but it gave us a second episode, so it kind of works out.
Well, yeah, because it was after the episode, and he was like, hey, you didn't ask me about my disability. Or I don't even know how we brought it up, but somehow we got on his disability. And I was like, dude, what? Well, now we have to do another episode so I can ask you about that.
Yeah.
Come to find out that also, because I met Connor after he had been on several other podcasts that I was friends with and stuff at the time. Yeah. None of them asked him about it either, and they knew. Yeah. Wow. So I think that's when I was like, oh no, we'll have a whole episode dedicated to that if that's what you want to do.
100%, and that's pretty much what we did.
Yeah, and then he joined the team, and then the rest is history. So and
then 2 years down the line, now we've got really good talk.
Yeah, now he's on both brands, because this is the Boiling Point podcast, but I also have the Mayhem Media, which is just entertainment and stuff.
Yeah.
That's where he started. So, but then I talked to him about starting this show, and then here we are, Connor. Without this, we wouldn't be meeting right now. 2.5 years down the line, and for some reason, I still talk to you. You old fuck. Well, if you had more options, I'm sure you'd take them.
So, can I ask another question? Just on this subject.
You can ask anything.
Yeah. So I just want to bring up something like, and I guess a lot of people might feel the same with a disability, or not even a disability. Like, the world we're living in is getting pretty crazy. In Australia, there's a lot of random attacks, knife attacks. I know the UK is out of control.
Yeah, the UK's had a few recently, especially in Nottingham.
So being a young guy, like, went from fully athletic boxing. I never looked for fights or anything like that, but like what you brought up, kind of like, at least I had an opportunity to defend myself. Like, does that kind of make sense? Like, so when I first had my accident, I had 2 questions. The 2 biggest questions were, the first one was, does my penis still work?
Yeah, of course. Yeah,
bro, you don't understand how many people will come up to the bar and ask me, so, with your disability, does it still work? And I'm like, yes.
Well, if it's a girl, I'll answer that question. If it's a dude, I'm going to be like, you better get away from me.
If it's a dude, I've had it plenty of times from a dude, and I'm like, dude, you're not even going to buy me lunch first, or what? Like, I just say stuff.
My response to a dude, my response to a dude usually goes to a Spartacus TV show on Stars. It's a Spartacus reference. I look at him and I think, believe me, if I held the notion, I would split you in two. So yeah, but that's hilarious. Yeah.
Yeah. So that was the first question. And the other one is like, how do I defend myself? How do I protect myself? Because one of the biggest things from going from being physically able to not being so vulnerable, like, let's just be honest. Like,
it's almost like going around saying easy target, just stuck to your back.
100%. And I felt that from day one. I really felt that fear. And then over the years, like, I've been physically assaulted 3 times.
Wow,
and
really? After the accident?
Yeah, I'll tell you, it's pretty crazy.
Damn, so Australia. What the fuck happened in Australia?
Yeah. So the first time I was on a houseboat. Do you know what a houseboat is? It's like a really big house on the water. Anyway, long story short, a friend of mine had a drug-induced psychosis, flipped out, and was holding a kitchen knife to my neck, holding me like a hostage. So that was the first time. Another time was at a party. I was just at a party, and this random guy kind of just came past and elbowed my head into the wall, just randomly. Crazy. But the worst one is in 2016. I was working and I was on my lunch break, and I was wheeling through the shopping center or shopping mall, and I had my lunch, and I saw this guy, and he looked homeless, and he kind of stopped and looked at me. And I was like, oh, this is a bit weird. And then he started walking towards me. And I was like, oh, it's cool. He'll just ask me for money. Anyway, he walked up to me and just grabbed me. He grabbed me by the shirt here, grabbed me, pulled me down. He was trying to like pull me out. Like, I'm surprised I didn't fall out my wheelchair, but he grabbed me and he's holding me there. And then I looked in his hand. He had a lighter and a little thing of fuel, a little container of like petrol. Wow. And he was trying to set me on freaking fire. So he was trying to light the lighter, and the only reason I didn't catch on fire was because the lighter wouldn't work. I looked down, and the lighter wouldn't spark. It wasn't working. And so I'm screaming at him. I'm trying to push him off me, and I'm screaming like, get off me, get off me. And I'm trying to push him off me. And eventually he let go and walked off. And do you know the worst part? I was surrounded by about 50 people, and no one tried to help.
That is crazy stuff.
So
that's not so crazy anymore. I mean, you see stuff like that these days all the time, right?
No. So he tried to set me on fire. Anyway, they caught him about 10 minutes later. He actually set a whole woman's head on fire. That's how they found him. They come around the corner and they just saw this woman's head just completely on fire. So he'd actually got the lighter to work and do it. And yeah, he went to jail and all that stuff. And I had to do court and victims of crime and all this stuff. But that's one of the biggest things, is being like vulnerable. And, I got PTSD from that, like post-traumatic stress and just paranoid of being in my wheelchair and going places and being so vulnerable. So it's like, yeah, it's pretty crazy. So that's why I was like, all right, wife, you need to protect yourself. You're learning Muay Thai. Like, you know what I mean? Like, everyone needs an opportunity or something to protect themselves. So it's good kind of that you've got those skills, at least to have a chance. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, let's talk about that for a minute here. Being vulnerable in those types of situations. The three of us, we have very different disabilities. So, and we just heard Connor. We know how you defend yourself. You have experience.
I mean, I have multiple tactics. It's not just with the wrestling and that. Like, this might get a little bit graphic, so apologies. But I'm the one and only. I don't give a fuck. Sorry, we went back into the fighting character a minute. Professional. Composure. Right, okay. Like, if I'm in the wheelchair, the first thing I'll do is try and take the foot plate off and just try and swing at you with that.
Yeah.
Because it can literally come off at a touch of a button. So if I grab a foot plate and I start aiming for your shins, you want to fucking run.
Yeah.
If I'm on the mobility scooter, it's almost the exact same thing, but I detach the handlebar. I can literally just pull it out.
Yeah.
Nice.
So again, I'm going to be swinging with that.
Yeah.
But if I've not got the scooter and if I've got the walking stick, God help everyone. because we all know that walking sticks can be lethal.
Yeah.
But if it's literally just me and I've got nothing, then I'll resort to literally take down, drop, punch the fuck out of you, and then just carry on drinking my beer. So there's always more than one way to skin a cat.
But have you found that over the years you've thought about that stuff to be mentally prepared just in case that happens?
I can definitely.
Oh god, it's happened to me. It's happened to me quite a few times when I've been like not prepared for it. But now obviously because I've done the training, I'm like, okay, what's the easiest way that I can immobilize someone for a quick second without doing too much?
It's interesting. Now, see, my way of thinking is a little different because I don't have. I guess my arms would maybe closer to, I guess, Cory's than yours, Connor, maybe, because I don't have full access and full range of motion and stuff like that, right? So the way I've always, anytime I've had a problem or the way I always practice it and stuff in my head is the only way I'm going to really survive a fight is I got to get them, I go forward because most people aren't expecting guys in wheelchairs to, when it starts to be like the guy, you know, I try, before we actually get to physical violence, I'll try and turn to the psycho to try and make sure that if they understand that if we go that I'm going to turn into a nut job. You know, I always tell people, I'm like, pull me out of my chair. I'm like, I'm even more dangerous out of my chair than I am in my chair. Like, you know what I mean? Like go full psycho. Now, when I'm in actual physical, like a physical thing, I can't fight at range and stuff. Like I got to close the distance and I got to pin, like my goal is to pin you against something.
Yeah.
So I want to go straight forward, duck my head so that you can't get any headshots in, get you pinned. And then if I can take your legs away, then
it's fair game.
Yeah. Then it's just going to be who can hit the hardest, quickest. You know what I mean?
See, that's why I loved the wrestling, because I was like, if I can just take your base out, even if you're on all fours, it's still going to be fair game. It's whoever can knock each other out first.
Yeah.
And obviously with the boxing, I've got a killer of a right hook. Not to boost my ego or anything, but my right hook is damn fucking good.
Yeah. And I got a lot of core strength. So if I get on the ground and you try and grab me, like if you try and like grab me around the neck, I can bring my legs all the way up and knee you in the forehead while you got me around the neck. Like I have the way my body's shaped, it's just, you know what I mean? My limbs, there's not a lot on my limbs. So my core is so strong that I can you know, move and do all kinds of stuff. If someone's holding my weight, I can do all kinds of matrix style shit. You know what I mean?
You can teleport from one side to the other before they even open their eyes.
Yeah. I could do some matrix stuff if I'm not supporting my own weight or stuff. Like if I'm lifted out of my chair or something like that, you know, like if I was suspended from wires, I could do whatever.
So kind of like me. So, you know, how with the wrestling that has helped, do you reckon with you doing backyard wrestling, that's kind of pulled in your favor as well?
Yeah, that's where if I ever got out of my chair, if I'm pulled out of my chair, that's where I would say my backyard.
That's when your backyard wrestling comes in and it's like night night.
Yeah, because my brother also when he was in school was a wrestler. So and he's a younger brother. I was always a bigger one. But once he learned wrestling, he would try and use those tactics on me, especially for pinfalls and stuff. So, you know, he would, you know, show, and I would be able to try and wiggle and stuff all that out of it. So I had some practice with the wrestling as well, because my brother was a wrestler in school. So, Cory, how do you defend yourself? We heard about your worry, but have you found a way to kind of handle it, or what's the story with that?
Just shit myself and hopefully
hopefully the smell deters them away.
Like
hey,
this is like, yeah.
Let me just say real quick. I have thought that if that will get me out of something, if I am in some shit and I have to take a shit, get out of it, then that's what I got to do. You know what I mean?
Yeah. But it seems like, we've all had to think about this stuff because we are vulnerable. I mean, a lot of people I speak to today that are able-bodied, they're taking self-defense lessons because, they feel vulnerable. So for us, it's triple, double, like whatever. Like, but for me, it's more like I can't really. Like the guy, I pushed him off, but I'm surprised I didn't fall out my chair because I lost my balance. But the only thing I've got is really to, I guess, keep someone at a distance, But if it really came down to it, if I could get him in a headlock, once I got someone in a headlock, I've got really good strength. That's when arms are the strongest. So I think about that a lot because we fly a lot. We fly a lot, and I'm always like, if someone tried to take down the plane, and I think about these scenarios, like if someone pushed him into my lap, if I could just get him in a headlock, they're done. Like I would like pin them there for. They'd have to drag me around like a doll because I'd be latched on like a friggin' pit bull, like you know what I mean. So, but that's all I've really got. Like scream, I can't scream that loud. It's more, it's crazy.
How far up does the paralysis go? Do you have trouble with your breathing and stuff too?
Yeah. I only have about 1/4 or 0.5% lung capacity, and then my arms. So my hands don't work. Like they're completely paralyzed.
They look fish-shaped to me, bro.
A little bit of tricep, but apart from that, like I can drive, I can wheel. I was pretty much independent for years up until recently.
Is it getting worse, or do you work out and try and maintain it, or what's the story with that?
What happened was, remember I said I had a blood clot in my leg? So what happened was, over time, as my legs have got skinnier because they don't move, the one leg stayed bigger. So one thigh sits bigger and I sit crooked. And it's really bad, actually. It's creating havoc with my back, my posture. It's really bad. And so through that, it's made my transfers harder. Otherwise, I'd be fine. But it's just, it's because of that. My posture's out of whack. My back's sore. And
that's something we don't. Going back to Connor, the fact that we were, we've been in chairs and, our disabilities our whole life. That's something we also don't have to deal with. We can exercise. We can do weight. I know you and I both, Connor. I take therapy, and you have all of your.
I do way too much in the gym.
Yeah, so we can get bigger, and it won't necessarily harm us. But someone who started bigger and muscular, who then can't move their whole body, how dangerous that is to lose that body mass and the complications that can arise from that. Yeah, that's I never even considered that before. I've considered a lot of things with the differences because people have asked me. I've actually had people ask me, "Oh, this a friend of mine was injured and in a wheelchair. Could you talk to him?" And the first thing I usually say is, "It's not the same thing."
Yeah,
I was like, "I'd be happy to talk to whoever. Absolutely, it's not the same thing. I've been disabled my whole life. I did not have that taken away from me. Something that I actually." Sometimes I think I'm grateful for it, and then other times I wonder, am I? But overall, I probably am grateful for it because it's not something that I've lost. I've never had it, so I don't know what it is.
Yeah.
So,
do you ever fantasize that you are fully able? Like, do you ever? Like, have you ever?
Yeah, do you know like what self-projection?
Yeah.
Like when you're if you're dreaming or when you're visualizing yourself or something. I don't ever my self-projection, my visualization, and even if you go all the way back to when I was a heathen before I reaccepted the Lord, I used to do lucid dreaming and stuff like that. And no, I was always I'm always standing, or even when I dream, 75% of the time, even in my dreams, I'm not actually in a wheelchair, as weird as that is.
Yeah.
So that's a little weird.
Not weird. It's interesting. I find that, interesting.
Yeah, I mean, I find it's weird for me when I wake up and I'm like, I'm like, oh, it's not like I'm rediscovering my disability. I know I'm disabled, but it's like, well, that felt
it just shocked you for those split seconds.
Yeah, my brain for a second, it was like, whoa, what? Kind of one of those things. So, but my self-projection and stuff is like when I visualize myself or whatever, I'm not often in a wheelchair.
Yeah. Wow.
I don't know where we were going next. Connor, do you have anything?
Not off the top of my head.
All right. So Australia is not really good with
time zones.
It's not like you can have that time zones too, but you can't have guns and stuff like that in Australia like you can in the United States. So
you can, but there's only certain ones that you can have. But my dad, I grew up shooting. I had my own air rifle at 10 years old. So
have you considered Have you considered trying to maybe do that? Get some protection with see if you could do a firearm or no?
Nah. I thought about it before, but not so much now. But yeah, but in Australia, my dad has guns. We grew up with guns, but yeah, the laws are they just want to take them away in Australia. Like they're just always looking for a reason to take away your guns. And yeah, so yeah.
As soon as I figure out how to fire a sidearm, I'll have my license to carry. So I just need to figure out the logistics of it. Is where I'm at. I can fire a long gun, a shotgun, or a rifle, something like that. I can do that. And I even have the strength to hold most of the guns down. I don't know if I'd be firing a 50 cal. I don't think I'd be doing that. But maybe a
Magnum 357.
No, I don't know about that either. And that's a short gun. Remember, I'm talking about long guns. So maybe a 7.62. Maybe I think I would have the strength to be able to hold that down. No, though not in an automatic situation, just as a single fire gun. But I have fired rifles and shotguns. As soon as I figure out how to shoot a sidearm without risking shooting myself in the kneecap, that's the biggest risk with that right now.
Yeah.
I don't want to shoot myself in the kneecap. I don't want to blow my junk off.
Yeah.
Because then when people ask you, does it work? You can be like, well, funny story, I shot myself in the dick.
I'm going to have to change. If I do that, I'm going to have to change political parties. No, now we're getting on to some other stuff there. All right. So, Cory, when you are out in public, other than safety, because we don't know about Australia and I don't know that much about the UK, but here in the US, sidewalks, not every sidewalk, despite what people might believe, not every sidewalk has a cutout, but most sidewalks have a cutout. Is that how it is in Australia?
Yeah, it's pretty good. Yeah.
Have you run into any problems or situations where you've run into a sidewalk that isn't carved out or anything like that?
Not too many times, to be honest. Like I've been in a chair for 28 years and I can honestly say most stuff's accessible. Like I haven't really had much troubles. Like, it's
here in Pennsylvania, I tend to take the roads more than the sidewalks because I get stuck on a sidewalk and have to backtrack for 10 minutes.
Oh, really? Yeah, right.
People think that every cutout every sidewalk has a cutout, and 90% of them do, but there's still enough of them that don't. I don't even run the risk most of the time because I don't want to get stuck. If I'm on the sidewalk for and I don't have to turn around and go backwards and then redo the whole trip. So I'll just stand. I'll usually do on the side of the road or whatever, you know what I mean, and just be extra careful. Plus, I always figure, people see a guy in a wheelchair, they're not going to run into it. The damage my wheelchair will do to someone's car will be extended way more than a human body. Plus, you get the human body with it. So
and you go to hell. If you hit it, I always say, like, no one's going to run me over. Like, they'll go straight to hell or something like that. Like, it's, I don't know.
Well, I hope so. But I hope that would happen. Well, maybe not straight to hell, but yes, I get what you're saying. I even always make sure my attendants or my family, like my mom or whoever, I always make sure they walk either on the sidewalk or if nothing else, to the inside of me. Like I'm always make sure that I'm the person on the outside, which is because you wouldn't think that the guy on the wheelchair is the one who's on the outside, but I always put myself, you were talking about vulnerability, Cory, and I get your situation and I understand why you're like that. And I'm a little bit similar with, I can't use my arms a lot. If I fall out of my chair, it's going to hurt. I'm going to hurt something and I'm probably going to be laying there for a bit before I'm not just going to get back in my chair on my own. So, but I've also learned that fear is not good. So I try and approach everything like if I fall out of my chair, I'll figure it out. If I'm in a fight, I'll figure it out. If I'm in a dangerous situation, I'll figure it out. And when it comes to death, I know I've said this on other Boiling Point podcast episodes, I'm not so much in fear for that. I know where I'm going when my time is up. So that doesn't bother me. When people threaten, it has happened when people have threatened to like kill me or something. My response is, don't you threaten me with a good time. So, which really throws people. They're usually like, what?
It comes back to that psych in the mouth a little bit.
Exactly. Yeah, that's what I see. That's how I've gone.
Acting like a psychotic mental patient is always a advantage.
The default position is no fear, straight ahead. That's it. No fear, straight ahead. And then when I need to, I dip into the psycho bag if I absolutely have to. I'll pull a little Heath Ledger Joker out if I have to. I'll go a little Bane. You know what I mean? Whatever's. I'll go Sting. I'll go full on Sting and pretend that my face is painted, pound on my chest, and yell "Ow!" You know what I mean? Like I'll make people nuts, man. I'll make people question before they. Do I really want to fight this psycho in a wheelchair? What is going on? Dude's howling, he's frothing at the mouth. No, I mean, I'm serious. That's definitely the first defense mechanism. Absolutely.
Yeah. Well, you got to do whatever it takes, don't you? Really, whatever it takes, to be safe. So
now in Australia, something that we talked about in the first episode, there was a few of our pet peeves, and I'm going to ask you about just a couple of them. Yeah. One of the pet peeves that I brought up was how people, especially big trucks, they'll back in to spots, and then the bed of their truck will take up the whole sidewalk. Have you had that happen?
No, I actually saw a photo about that. We don't have. I know what you're talking about because I saw a photo of it not too long ago. So, we call them a ute, or you call them a pickup, I think, or is that what you mean? Like a pickup?
Yeah.
Yeah. So ours are designed not to be like that, if that makes sense. So they can reverse
back.
Yeah,
it makes perfect sense.
Yeah.
Yeah, Connor, does that make sense to you?
Yep. I'm kind of questioning why I was born in the UK. Why was I not born in fucking Australia?
Yeah, and I'm wondering why people here in the US are stupid as I'll get out as well. Because I'll tell you what, dude, I've had to call, especially where I go to physical therapy, there's always trucks that was parked over a sidewalk. And I used to walk back and forth because I lived right down the road. So, and I had to actually call the police because it started happening so many times. The police were useless, by the way. And I'm talking about Cumberland County and Camp Hill. Useless.
The police are fucking shit over here as well.
Nothing. You didn't do nothing. Okay. You didn't even come out to take a report. You didn't even call me back. I could have just on you. All right.
Yeah, that was pretty much
failed. You failed big time on that. So, Connor, what were one of the pet peeves that you had in the UK that we could ask Cory about? I don't want to just take up the whole time.
I mean, apart from the politics.
Well, yeah,
but that's a conversation for another episode, because otherwise I would stay here till 5 o'clock in the morning talking about 10 Downing Street.
Yeah, we don't have time for that.
Sorry, Kiss Tom was a wanker. Sorry, who said that? just had to get that little tick in there just once. I mean, here's the thing, like, obviously with the trucks fucking parking over the little carved out drop curbs, but it's not even that. It's like the ones that fucking, even the tiniest of cars that think they can just park wherever the fuck they like.
Yeah.
But that's not even the worst. Right. You know when you go in store, just even if you're grabbing milk, bread, and eggs, whatever you want to do, get a porno magazine, whatever you want to go to the store for, right? And you get these little wankers. And when I mean wankers, I mean the proper scumbags that will sit and park in a disabled bay with no fucking permit.
Yeah.
Scumbags.
I don't like them. That agitates.
Fuck parking over the sidewalk. Get me speaking about people parking in disabled bays without a permit. And that's it.
What about ramp cutouts? Have you, Cory, and in Australia, have you come into, only recently in a couple of places have I found that cars are parked in front of a sidewalk ramp cutout?
Yeah. It happens, man. I don't know. It happens all the time. In Australia,
does it bug? I mean, obviously, hopefully it doesn't bug you enough that where you're really angry about it. But does it? Yeah. Is it one of your pet peeves, or does it get on your nerves when you see stuff like that at all?
So when I was first in hospital and I was laying there in spinal traction on my back, there was this guy. He'd been a paraplegic for 50 years, and he came in and he said, "Look, everything's going to be all right." And then I said, "Can you give me some advice?" And his advice was, he said, "Just be like water, Cory. Be like water." So he said, we live in a world, this is like 28 years ago, where it wasn't so accessible. He said to me, we live in a world where most people are able-bodied, right? So that's the world we live in. And he goes, you are going to come across people, things that aren't 100% wheelchair accessible. They're not, people are going to park in wheelchair parks and they're not going to be there. He said, he says, it's going to bother you, it's natural. Hey, I'm not trying to be perfect. I'm not trying to pretend. It doesn't bother me. But he said, like, just be like water and just go with the flow, man. Like, just don't try to let things bother you too much. So I've kind of lived by that. So in the beginning, I used to see people parked in the disabled bay, and I'd be pissed. Right? It's natural. We are going to feel that. I'm not pretending I don't feel it. Right? I feel it. Right?
But you shake it off.
Right? But I just kind of like. I found that when I used to say stuff, they wanted to fight. If someone's going to park in a wheelchair park, they're not going to have a problem fighting with a disabled person. They're not going to, they're not going to have a problem being a dick. And sometimes they've threatened my life. And I'm just like, is it worth it?
In Australia, absolutely, I can understand that, especially with what you've experienced. I'm the opposite. Yeah. A dude wants to fight, I'm going to say something because I'm the one that wants to fight you.
Yeah.
I mean, like you said, I mean, I like your advice though. Be like water. Don't let anything bug you. And that's how I try and be. Like I try and be like that. But I have definitely stopped traffic to yell at someone in the middle of the road before. Like light's green, and I'm like, no, you are wrong right now, and you're gonna understand.
Yeah. So I mean, it does. Like I said, it bothers me. I'm not pretending it doesn't bother me. I feel the anger. I feel that in my head. I'm just like, what a dickhead. Like I'm pissed. But I'm just like. My wife always says, choose your battles. So I've got plenty of battles going on. So I'm just like, and like the guy said to me, he said, dude, he goes, I've been in a chair for 50 years. He goes, people were parking in disabled spots before I was in a chair, and they're going to continue long after I'm dead. And he goes, no matter what you do, he says, it's just going to happen. Like, and I mean, people use the disabled toilet all the time. I'm sitting there waiting, busting to go to the toilet. And it's usually in Australia, it's either, I hope I can say it, it's either a transgender person or it's a freaking, or it's a teenage girl doing their makeup, and they're making me wait. 99% of the time, it's the teenage girl doing their makeup, and I'm sitting there like literally pissing my pants. So it's like,
I will not. I don't stand for that. I don't stand for. See, that's the kind of stuff though. I get what you're saying, and it's a good motto to live by. Don't let things affect you like that. Absolutely. Yeah. That's what I encourage other people to do. That's how I try, but I definitely am not. I'm definitely less successful than you are at that.
Yeah.
I will have the managers call him the district manager to come down here because I got to pee and there's a person that's able-bodied in the handicap stall.
Yep.
And, I mean, I'm the exact opposite. I'm the guy that's gonna get on. I'm gonna get on the intercom. I'm gonna be like, shh, attention to the person in the handicap stall.
Yeah.
Finish doing your makeup or fuck off.
Yeah.
I mean, listen, I will quite happily admit I'm an asshole with it. I am an asshole with it completely, and I will admit I will make a big fucking scene out of it. Like, it was literally the other day, right? Breathe. So there was literally. Obviously, they weren't handicapped, but when you walk out of a handicap stall and you see an actual handicap and you try and fake a fucking limp, I will fucking call them out on this shit. Like, if you're gonna limp to make yourself not look as big of a cunt, make it convincing. Or I'll give you a limp so you have an excuse to go in there again tomorrow.
I've seen
like that. I will call people out on this till I'm blue in the fucking face.
I have seen that once or twice also. So yeah. My favorite thing to do is to especially when I was younger, it doesn't seem to happen quite as much now, but my friends, if someone was staring at us in a restaurant or whatever, they'd be like, "Hey,
we've had this conversation. I know where this is going."
And then I would yell loud enough for the whole restaurant to hear. What do you mean they're staring? Why would they be staring? So, like, I would make sure everybody knew that they were staring. So that's my style.
And then they're just awkward as fuck.
Yeah,
I find if I'm like somewhere and like someone comes out of the disabled toilet and they don't have a disability, I find if someone parks in the wheelchair park that's not supposed to park there, by not saying something, it actually makes it more awkward for them because they're waiting for me to say something. And they feel that tension and anxiety and they're just waiting. Like, they're just like, he's going to say it. And by not saying anything, they're just like, what? But it kind of confuses them. So I don't know. For me, that's what I do. I'm just like, it bothers me, but I don't kind of let it bother me too much. I just kind of like, I'm a dad. I've got other stuff that does, like, don't get me wrong. My biggest peeve is like health problems because I have to catheterize myself, bladder infections, managing my bowels, like that kind of stuff. That pisses me off. Like, that's the stuff I get angry about. That's the stuff I'm like raising my voice and like being pissed off at the doctors because they're not doing the right things. Kind of, if that makes sense. So I do it, but in a different area.
That's a different level.
I haven't been to the doctors in about 2 years because the doctors around here are fucking shit.
They're everywhere. It's not just there. Okay, they're everywhere. Okay. That's a different level of anger for me, Cory. Like that kind of stuff, like the stuff that we were just talking about that happens out in the world. Like I might say something, I might yell at somebody. Then as soon as I turn around, I've already forgotten their name. I'm laughing at what just happened. You know what I mean? Like for me, some of it's comical. You know what I mean? So I can find the enjoyment in it. So it's not like I'm thinking about it all day or angry or upset about something all day. But when my chair breaks or when there's some BS with the insurance company or whatever, I just went through some of that with this chair. My charger died. I couldn't recharge my batteries.
Wow.
Well, if I don't have a chair that's charged, I can't get out of bed. I can't go to the bathroom. I can't, I'm pretty much confined to my bed.
You're just laying there, not being able to do fuck all.
Yeah, the problem is, and the difference here is, Cory, is that when I do have my chair, I can go pee by myself. Like my independence level is exponentially higher.
Yeah.
And I don't have the system in place for when my chair just is, when it's just gone, then that's it. You know what I mean? Like I don't have the things in place because that's not how I live my life.
Yeah.
So that is when I get super angry at a different level. Yeah. And I completely understand what you're talking about where, when the wheelchair's broke or whatever, I'm cursing, I'm yelling, I'm more angry. Yeah, absolutely. With that, I can fully relate to that part.
Yeah. The biggest thing here in Australia I've had a lot is I'm a quadriplegic, but doctors are always like telling me, no, you're wrong. You're a paraplegic because you can move your arms. And I'm like, dude, I know like what I am. I broke my neck and my arms don't work 100%. But then the doctor's arguing with me like, but you can move your arms. And I'm like,
the doctors really argue with you about that?
Pardon?
They really argue with you about that?
I'm not joking. And then they won't listen to me and they'll even write paraplegic. Like if they're filling out a form for me, they'll write paraplegic. I'm like, dude, I just explained I'm a quadriplegic. And they argue with me. And I'm like, dude, like, yes, my arms work, but they don't work 100% because I'm a quadriplegic or a tetraplegic, whatever you want to call it. And like I've had that a lot, and they just don't believe me, if that kind of makes sense. Like,
yeah, I mean, but that's ridiculous.
So I get another doctor because I'm like, if you don't know the difference between a quadriplegic and a paraplegic, you're not going to know the difference between a lot of shit.
Absolutely,
you're in the wrong fucking job.
Yeah, dude, you're in the wrong job. Give your MD back now.
Yeah.
Please. Wow. Okay. All right. Cory, is there Connor?
And it's like when they try and fucking tell you something that you don't already fucking know about your own disability. Like, to be fair, I ended up having an appointment, what was that, about 2 weeks ago? And it was just a mental health checkup. And they were like, well, if you're feeling stressed, what about go for a walk? I've gone, brother. No. Like, I was with my key worker as well. Shout out to Keely in fair play because she almost broke character. Shout out to Keely. Hurry up. By the way, if you're watching this, hurry up and sort my fucking housing situation out. Thank you.
I need him back to work. I need him back to work now. Do it.
Yeah. People need me at work and we can't. Housing situation. But again, different topic for a different episode. Sorry, I just wanted to get another little friendly shot in there because I don't give a fuck. Yeah, what was it? Go for a walk or something. And I was like, brother, can you just sit there and just realize what you've just said?
Yeah.
I've come in with 2 walking sticks. I have 3 mobility scooters in my property. Only 2 of them work. Again, conversation for another episode. Fucking brilliant. Insurance companies, fuck you. This is literally this has turned into a fucking rant, and I've gone. You do realize who I am, right? And they've gone, well, can you not go for a short walk to your mobility scooter and then a long drive? I've gone, now you're taking the fucking piss. Literally taking the piss.
That's crazy. That's crazy to me. And I can't believe, Cory, you've had someone like try and argue. That's like, oh my goodness. Yeah. No, we have experienced it here. Not me specifically. I've been lucky with most of my doctors. I've been very lucky with most of my doctors that they haven't been idiots. And when I found an idiot, I've noticed that they were so, very quickly and was able to find another. So that's one thing that I'll say that I'm grateful for is that with my insurance, at least here in America and stuff, I've never had to really worry about anything in terms of who's paying. Out of cost pockets, not for my wheelchair, not for most of my visits. Like I don't really that's been the one thing that I can say that I've been blessed about. Yeah. And I even say it to able-bodied people. I'm like, you know what? I guess that is where I have the advantage over able-bodied people. They have to deal with insurance and I don't have to worry about that. And when I do, it's because I'm making enough money that I can likely afford it myself. So yeah, that's the one thing that's different between us all also, not just with our situations, but where we live, our 3 different countries that we're talking about here. Cory, is there anything else you wanted to talk about that we might have skipped over or missed?
Not really. I don't think. No, it's been fun so far. Yeah.
I hope that you have had fun. I would like to have you on again, so that we can, do this again or something like that. So I always like to have repeat guests. So yeah, definitely, we would like to have you on again. And Connor, thank you for making it, because I know that your situation is not the best either. So it's hard to make podcast episodes. Everybody on the Mayhem side is going to be upset that you haven't done one of those in quite some time, but you've done 2 or 3 really good talks now. So just want to point that out there too. Get back to work. I like to give him a hard time.
Sorry, my hand just had a spasm. It was accidentally calling you a wanker. I do apologize.
No, you were telling me I was number 1. That's what was happening. Let's not kid the people.
Number 1, yeah.
Brother, how are you going to take the number 1? When my entire gimmick is the one and only.
Well,
I'm going to sue you for gimmick infringement.
One and only, and I can be the one. Number 1. I'm just number 1.
No, that's still
for the one and only Connor Clarkson. I am the one, JD.
No, you're the bad guy. No. We've had this conversation 1,028,000 times. You're the bad guy. I'm the one and only. And that's just the way it is.
Yeah, that is.
Why the bad guy? What's behind that?
We have to tell him.
I earned this clip or earned this moniker because of the hate that I generate online, both from my podcast. Now, I want to be clear. Remember, Cory, I said I had the Mayhem Media? That's just entertainment. Okay?
Yeah.
We don't talk politics. We don't talk beliefs. Only entertainment.
Yeah.
I am just as hated on Mayhem Media as I am on the Boiling Point podcast.
Yeah, right.
I don't know why. I haven't been able to figure it out. No one can really put their finger on it beyond that I'm a white Christian nationalist bigot.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
So I hope you, just so you know that, Cory, you've been on a show that was hosted by a white Christian nationalist bigot.
Okay. Yeah.
I know I completely come off that way, right? But no, that's where it came from. I got just the amount of hate that I drew. Yeah. And I don't remember. I think it was partly Connor, and then it was somebody else on the Boiling Point podcast side. When I started drawing the amount of hate on Mayhem Media, they were like, "Dude, do you just draw hate wherever you go?" And I'm like, "I guess, man. I'm not trying to, but it just happens." And they're like, "Man, they just like to make you their bad guy. You should lean into that." And they were a wrestling fan, and they were like, "You should be the Razor Ramon of podcasting, the bad guy, JD." And I'm like, You know what? I like it. I'm going to lean into it.
Yeah.
So that's what I did. But it was my team. I didn't choose that for myself. Okay. Just so everybody's clear. My team had said to me many times, like, dude, you're just the bad guy. People want to make you the bad guy. And then I was like, yeah, I'm going to lean into it. Screw it.
I can't, from this. So I don't even understand why they'd say that. But anyway, yeah.
Yeah, it's just I usually speak the truth and common sense. There are a lot of people in the world that have problems with that these days.
Yeah, it's almost as if common sense you have to pay as a premium when you're born.
Yeah,
at this point.
Yeah, but Cory, I would love to have you on another one of these episodes, and I would love to. I'll keep you posted on some other stuff that we have coming out. If you're interested in joining us for some other stuff, for some other topics. So I know you said you kind of had an interest in podcasting, so maybe we can help you get your feet wet a little bit with it.
Yeah. No, it's been fun. I've definitely had a good time. I wasn't expecting it to be so fun, and I'll be honest, I was a little bit like, "Ooh, what's this be like?" Like I was, but it's actually been really cool, and with the different personalities, it's been cool. So
I could tell you were a little nervous when we started, and I didn't say anything because saying something you would have just been thinking more about. Well, what's it going to be like then? So I just was like, dude, in 10 minutes he'll be relaxed. As soon as he sees Connor and I are we're professional. We put on a professional show, but it's laid back. It's we can joke around, we can laugh, we can have a good time. I'm glad that you enjoyed yourself. It's always great when the guest has a great time too. That's kind of very important for us as well. Otherwise, people don't come back.
Yeah. No, it's been fun. Good questions. Yeah, good times.
Yeah, and we will definitely look into having you on again.
Sure.
Make sure you check us out. I'm going to plug everything now, Cory. So give me 5 to 35 minutes. Follow us on Rumble, YouTube, and Facebook under the Boiling Point Podcast. And the storefronts, bonfire.com/store/the Boiling Point Podcast. Pick yourself up some apparel. I'm actually not wearing Boiling Point Podcast gear today. I'm wearing Mayhem Media gear today because I had just had a live episode at the day we're shooting this earlier. So I usually do multiple episodes a day. So check out the storefront and pick up some apparel, please. That would really help us a lot. Hit that share button. Leave a comment for Cory or for the one and only Connor Clarkson or for myself, and we'd be happy to answer it in a future episode anytime. Connor, did I miss anything? Go follow. You haven't been checking your public profile page anyway. So if you want to follow Connor Clarkson, do it on the Boiling Point Podcast or Mayhem Media because that's the only place that you can find him now. Is on one of those two locations. Marcus Frederiksen does the music. Go check out his channel, reverbnation.com/Marcus Frederiksen. Share out your favorite song and tag us in it. And I believe that is where we're going to wrap this up. This has been episode 3 of a really good talk. For Cory, for the one and only Connor Clarkson, I am your host, the bad guy, JD. And this is not the end. Only the beginning.
Just the beginning.